Anladım.
Hi there, Oz Konar here. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the top 5 lending options in 2022 that you need to know about. As the founder of the largest training organization in the United States of business loan brokers, I get to see certain patterns of what products are the ones that are in most demand by the consumers, by the business owners. And 2022 will be an amazing year. So that's why I wanted to talk about the top 5 lending options. So whether you are a veteran in the industry looking to diversify your funding options, or you're thinking about getting into this industry, but you're trying to find out what it is that you can offer to your customers, this video will help you with that. So I'll follow a different model when I'm talking about the lending options. Usually if someone is talking about top 5 lending options, they usually mean it for the business owners, the consumers, and how they can qualify to receive these funding options, the capital and the loans and all that stuff. But I'm going to be talking about from the perspective of business loan brokers. Whether you're considering to become a business loan broker or you already are in the industry, you must know about these funding options, different lending options. And if you're not offering them right now, you'll find out why you're leaving a lot of money on the table right now. That's so important. So let's get started. All right, the number one is targeting the people who want to start a business, or they started a business, but they are low on capital, but they're kind of too early in their journey of business ownership. They do not qualify for much else out there. Yes, I'm talking about startup funding. More than 70% of the people in the United States at some point thought about starting their own business, but what stopped them is most of the time is the lack of capital, or them not knowing how to get access to capital through other means. Because if you just walk into your bank and ask them for a startup funding, good luck with that. So number one product for our members in 2021 was the startup funding. So this funding option allows our brokers to fund anywhere from 5,000 all the way up to 150,000 and help an individual use those funds to start a business and have them get access to those funds at 0% interest for 12 to 18 months. So they have up to 18 months of time to use the funds, and a lot of the times they're able to cash those funds. So it's not just a credit card, they can actually use it as cash and use it to build their businesses, and they have up to 18 months to pay it back. And of course, they'll have to pay it back at some point. Hopefully they'll invest in a business that makes money for them, so they take advantage of the funding options that way. So another name for that is syndicated line of credit. The way it works with that funding option is our funding partners get that person qualified for as many different types of credit cards, either business credit cards or personal credit cards, as possible, so they can max out their funding opportunities. Now, the catch here is they need to have a pretty good personal credit. If they do not have that, they're not out of luck. They can actually have a co-signer co-sign, and they can just pretty much utilize that person's credit to get approved for lines of credit up to $150,000. The minimum credit score required for this product is 680 and above. Again, you don't need to have any business in place for this. You don't need to have a tax ID number. You don't need to have revenue. This is like a pure startup. The potential for a broker to make on these type of deals is anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. We literally have hundreds of people fund these deals on a given month within our community. As long as you have the right partners in place, your audience is pretty much most people out there who want to start a business. One common question we get all the time is, well, if they're just applying for a bunch of credit cards, as the customer, the person who's receiving those funds, why would I not just go ahead and apply it myself? That's a great question. but it doesn't really work that way. Most people would not know what cards to apply for, in what sequence, in what time, in what order, and how many of them they should apply. So what ends up happening is they think they can do this. They go ahead and just do some basic Google search. They start applying for 2 credit cards. They get locked out. So instead of being able to get qualified for up to 100, 150,000, they get locked out at like $20,000, $25,000, and every other application gets declined because the banking algorithms pick up on the fact that they're applying for multiple cards at once or back to back or a day apart, however they want to use their sequence, right? Then they're stuck with that 20, 25,000, nothing more than that, versus they could have gotten over $100,000. So obviously that's a big difference. As a business loan broker, you have to either know that sequence and help the client, or work with a partner that can handle it for them. So that's product number 1, syndicated line of product. It's a startup funding that pays a few $1,000s per deal. It's a hot product. If you're a business loan broker and you don't know about this, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table, because you're probably qualifying people based on their credit score only or revenue only. That brings me to product lending option number 2. That's going to be super hot in 2022, is real estate lending. So real estate is as hot as ever, right? But most people's understanding of real estate funding is just getting a mortgage through a mortgage company or a traditional bank. But if you're working with real estate investors, these people, they bid on multiple properties. They're either fixing, flipping a few properties a year, or they are buying or holding a commercial building or a multifamily building, 1 to 4 units, right? Very soon after they do a few units, they can't really get qualified for the government-based funding options anymore. And the banks do not really want to lend them money. So they need to work with providers, actual lenders that can lend them money without them having to go to a hard money lender, right? They can do hard money lending, but it is quite expensive. So they can pay 15 to 20% to hard money real estate lenders. But if they go through alternative lending options of non-bank lending, they can actually get funding from anywhere from 5% to 9%, and they can just keep adding more properties to their arsenal, their Rolodex, or they can keep flipping. And this is one of the most profitable products. In our community, we had people on their first deal make anywhere from $15,000 to $35,000. Obviously, everybody's results are different, but if you work with the right lending partner, and if you understand the real estate market and how to utilize it, your audience is in millions. There are many people, and it's really easy to find real estate investors, people who are passionate about real estate. They want to start a real estate portfolio. They want to grow a real estate portfolio. They don't necessarily need to be in the business of real estate. When I was 23 years old, I bought my first multifamily home. Then I bought the second one, third one. I wish I knew about these lending options, so I wouldn't have to come up with so much money up front and borrow from friends and family to be able to invest in real estate. So the specific knowledge, niche-based knowledge, gives you so much power. So this number 2 lending option is real estate is super hot. It's been amazing in the year 2021. It will continue to be that way. So there are actually options that people can get money, even if their business is failing, they can get money based on a real estate collateral. So I'm not going to get into a full-on real estate training here. I just want to let you know that there is a solution for most of the situations out there. For example, in the heart of the pandemic, we had partners who would be providing funding to businesses who are impacted by that, like in New York City, right? Most of New York City were forced to shut down, but one of our partners were still funding deals based on the real estate that company, that business owns, use it as a collateral to provide funding. So that's one of the most creative ways of getting funding. And as a broker, you knowing about this gives you a lot of power. And so you can, under any circumstances, you can still build a very successful and sustainable business. So number 2 is real estate funding. Number three is equipment financing. Equipment meaning businesses need stuff all the time. They need to buy software, they need to buy equipment. If you're a restaurant, I mean, just think about how much equipment they need. If you're a trucking company, you need more trucks. Think of most of the industries out there who need to buy some kind of equipment to be able to generate more income, right? So a trucking company will need to add more trucks to their arsenal so they can just get more money from their customers by doing more deliveries and whatnot. A restaurant, they constantly stuff breaks in a restaurant. They need to buy a fridge or a machine or a POS system. So they need equipment financing. So if you have any background in any specific industries, this would be a hot market for you because equipment financing is very niche within the alternative lending industry. We have people in our community who started out as a generalist who would offer, the person would offer any type of funding in alternative lending space. But then over time, they fall in love with the equipment finance field because they learn specific information and they acquire specific knowledge on yellow iron, right? So other types of equipment that they can help, niche type of businesses and industries and geographies, and they just became the expert in those markets. So, and that product also pays a few $1,000s per transaction, obviously depending on the size of the transaction. But as a business loan broker, if you're talking to businesses every single day, and if they bring up, why they need the funding, and you notice that they need the funding to buy anything that would qualify as equipment, well, then you need to have that option. Otherwise, you might end up offering your customers a more expensive option that they shouldn't really go through, right? Because I highly believe in a model where you're seen as a consultant, not just a hardcore salesperson. That's so important for me, right? So yeah, being a closer might look fun from outside, but if you want to build a business with longevity and you want to have repeat customers, you got to learn how to do the right thing by the customer. So that's really important. That's why I put a lot of attention into what products we offer to our brokers in the business lending blueprint, what lending option they must know about so they can serve their customers the best way. If they do that, the customers come back for more funding because there are only very few people in this industry that has access to the type of knowledge that I'm talking about here. Most of the industry is either focused on merchant cash advance or working capital, and that's pretty much it. Then you have other companies who are focused on one or maybe two products, and they just want to maximize it as much as possible and make it really difficult for them to grow and scale the company because they just believe in just one product and they try to fit everyone into that product. It's really not a good idea to do that, especially when you're starting out. You want to focus on one industry, which is alternative lending. So you're still niching down, but have access to multiple products so you can monetize every single lead. That's so important. Lending option number 4 is working capital or merchant cash advance. This is an amazing product for the right customer. Many small businesses, they do not act like corporations or large businesses. They cannot wait a few weeks to a few months to get funding. If they need funding, it's usually in order for them to make the payroll or buy more supplies or get ready for a specific season. For example, in New York City, I used to have clients that would have conferences. They would have 3-4 conferences a year where they make amazing amount of money, but they need to buy certain supplies because the bulk of their order will be sold. Bulk of their inventory will be sold during that conference. So they need to stockpile an inventory that requires a lot of cash. If they use cash to buy it, they save a lot on the wholesale, and they're able to pay back the amount that we loan them really fast, because at the end of that conference or trade show, they'll have access to a lot of money. They'll be able to pay it back. So this is just an example of how companies do use it. That's why the method of being a consultant for your customers are super important. That's why you need to identify if they need that product or not. But if they do need it, it's one of the most transparent products, because unlike a loan, they know exactly how much they're going to pay back. and what payment frequency. If they're getting $50,000 and if they pay back is $60,000, they see that up front. It's a very transparent product. But the main benefit for the broker is that it's one of the highest commission paying products out there. So it will not change in 2022. There will be massive demand, especially with the economy, the way things are going right now. People are spending more money because the government is printing more money. So a lot more people have access to a lot more cash. And that's how they're keeping the economy alive, pretty much, right? So I know many people are talking about the government printing money, how bad of a thing that is. I think government learned their lesson based on what happened in 2008. They don't want to not print money, then the entire system collapse. Then they'll have to bail the big companies anyways, because they're not going to have these big companies go under with tens of, sometimes hundreds of thousands of employees that they have, which is going to sink the economy even further. Instead of that, I think for a longer period, they're going to choose to print more money, which will impact inflation. But overall, that might save us from having a massive recession that many people are talking about right now, right? So the benefit of that to this industry is that you're going to have a lot of businesses who will need access to fast capital. Again, as long as you qualify and as long as they're a good fit for that, and this is not your sole product to go after, you can make a lot of money by offering working capital, fast capital options, or merchant cash advance. So that's number 4. Number 5 is not necessarily a lending option, but it is an important financial tool, which is helping your customers learn about building business credit. So this has been a game changer for us in our community. We just released our training on how to build business credit, and our community can offer it to other businesses and help them learn how to build business credit. And the main benefit of that is that they don't have to rely on their social security number to get access for funding, right? So let's say you own a business and you want to get qualified for some type of lending option. Usually the way it works is you need to have a certain type of credit score, certain level of credit score, ideally high. Then on top of that, you have to personally guarantee that loan. So you sign off on that. And if for whatever reason you default on that, the lender can come after your personal assets. Like if you get a loan from Bank of America or PNC Bank or TD Bank, doesn't matter which bank you're using, that's the model that just works. But if your business as a separate entity than yours, right, can build a business credit under its own name, then that business is liable for the debt, not you. So they can't come after you because it's not tied to your social security number. And also as a business, businesses have access to a lot higher funding limits, lending limits, credit limits than an individual, right? So that first product that I talked about, the syndicated line of credit, where you can get access up to $150,000, a business for that number could be in hundreds of thousands, sometimes in millions of dollars, if you know how to build business credit. That's going to be one of the hottest products of 2022. I already hear a lot of people started talking about how to build business credit that's not tied to your social security number, where you can build it without it being tied to your personal guarantee. And also other ways that you can utilize it. For example, if you build business credit, you can actually show a lot of your daily expenditures as a business expense. So you buy toilet paper, paper towel, kitchen products. And if you're building, there are different tools and mechanisms which we train our members on, where you can show all these expenses under your business. So things that you buy anyways, right? You're buying supplies for your garage, for your home, for your cleaning supplies, your office supplies. If you own a business, then I see a lot of people put it under their debit card or their personal credit card, or that they buy through cash. But if, let's say, your monthly expenses on toothpaste and a bunch of other consumables, that should all go on their business, and that helps you build your business credit. And if you take the right steps, building business credit can be a lot easier than building personal credit. I'm sure anyone who's watching this video right now, most of you guys have a personal car. Did you know that you can actually transfer that personal car under your business credit? So the monthly payments you're making is not coming out of it's not impacting, it's not showing up on your personal credit, it's actually showing up under your business credit. So I can go on and on about the value of building business credit and how easy it can make for you to get access to so much funding. And in 2022, that will be a massive product. It will have so much importance. So as a business loan broker, either whether you're in the industry, you're thinking about getting into the industry, I suggest you consider the power of adding a business credit program into your arsenal. So these are the top 5 lending options and credit options that will be super hot in 2020. And if you see the value of offering that to your customers and how it can help you build a 6, even a 7-figure business, I have a training for you below this video. In the description, there's a link. I have a full-on training on the business loan brokerage and what we do in business lending blueprint. I highly suggest that you check it out. And in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are and what's your favorite lending option out of the 5. And as usual, if you enjoy this content, if you want to hear more from me on different, any topic related to lending, alternative lending, and business loan brokerage, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. And I hope to see you on the other video. Take care.